last class we've talked about some intro to SQL query, some of the syntax, how to use select, how to use distinct, where, and or not. So those are the basic things we talked about last class, and today we continue by explaining order by, insert into, non-value, update, delete, select top, and then mini, max, all these kind of basic things that we use. You see that just like as I said, all these knowledge are transferable. So once you understand them with Excel, you can, the what you just do is, once you can do something in Excel, you can bring that knowledge to Python, you can bring it to Power BI. You may just need to check online on, okay, I want to do this, how can I do this with Excel, or how can I do this with Power BI, how can I do this, just because you know the name. You can you can Google for data cleaning in Excel, data cleaning in Power BI, data, if you really want to understand those concepts very 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 well. So everything is the same, it's just the way we approach them in different tools that are different. So order by, what order by means, the following SQL statements select all customers from. So basically, don't let us forget that what we are working on is customers table from this W3 school. So that's our data, and let me run it so that I can show. I think running one will give us a platform where we can see what is going on. Okay, let me just run this. Okay, this is the data that we are working with, and this can also be used in MySQL that we started with. Then the interface of MySQL, but these SQL statements are just the same thing that we can take to there, or probably take this data set. It's just that there's no way we can download it here. So you can download this particular data set, and we can download different data set on Cargo, I think Cargo, or we can even put it online. Let me just check SQL data just for practice sake. SQL data, let me just see data sets for practice. So okay, these are not just, okay, let me just use Cargo. Let me check that. So these are just like SQL data. You can go on Kaggle, then you can just search the way I did it now. You can see need sample data set, data SQL injection data set, to SQL syntax using Netflix data set. All this one, I think they even explain more. You can also check some query there if, oh, this is, they use Python here. They use Python here. But you can actually download those particular data sets. So here we can look for, okay, let me look for, okay, let's click on the data set. Yeah, so these are just like SQL data sets. So mental health, so we can, if you click on download here, it's going to download that particular data set on your laptop, so that you can easily upload it to your MySQL, or any kind of database you just feel like. So you may not enjoy MySQL. We have BigQuery, we have MariaDB, we have Postgres, we have different kind of database. So once you download the data here, you can bring it there. So all this one now is a data set of customers, and we know, like as I explained in the last class, so if you select star from customer, that is you are selecting all the rows in that particular table. Then order by country, so customer name, so we are order by is just like you putting your data in a structured format, just like maybe in ascending or descending. So that's just the function, the simple functions of order by. So it can be in descending order and it can be in ascending order. So here now we are using this country and country name to put this whole data in customer, to put it in order. So this particular data, like this particular data in customer, will be in order of country and customer name. So if we look at our customer, our country, so we can look for country. Now you can see that country here starts with A, which is Argentina. That is, this starts from ascending order. So order by country name, which is like it put the table in orders of alphabetical order, that is A, B, C. So you will see here that this customer ID is now 12 instead of 1. So and this can be done in either, we can consider putting it in ascending or in descending order, because this one put this particular table in ascending order, that is A, B, just because we use country. So we can clear this. So if I use this now, it will be only country, and I can use customer ID. Let me use customer ID. So if I use customer ID, now you see that just because I use customer ID now, is now starting from 1 to 92. That is 92 will be the last one. So it's starting from 1 just because I use customer ID. That's just the function of order by. And if I use this customer name now, you see that there will be changes again. So if I run this now, you see now that the customer ID now started from 69 and it followed the contact name. So if you check contact name now, you see now that contact name now start from A, which is ascending order. So A, so it will just follow like that, just because we have changed this to that. So that's just the function of order by. So we can either work with it in ascending order or we can work with it in descending order. So now let's move to insert into. So the function of insert tool, when we start using MySQL tool, we try to create table then and try to insert some value into it, if we can still remember, or if we don't remember, we can just go back to that video to watch that particular video. So you see that we first create a table which is empty, just putting the names of those features, and we try to insert some value inside of it. So this concept of insert, just like you using it to insert some value in a table. So insert into statement is used to insert new record in a table. So that's just basic what it means and what it does. So insert into syntax, this is just like the syntax. It is possible to write insert to statement in two ways. So specify both the column names and the value. So this is the syntax. Insert into table name, the names of the table we are working on and or working with. So then the column name that we want to insert into, because when you create your table, when you create your table, you just try to indicate the name of those features, and the names of those features are just like the column name for it. So if you want to create about data now for high students, we may need the first name, we may need the last name, we may need their ID, like their school ID or identity number. Then we may need other things. Those are just like column name. Column one can be the name, the first name. Column two can be the last name. Column three can be age. Column four can be maybe ID card, or column one can be ID number. So, and the name of the table will be about data for high student, and you can now use value. These are just like keywords in SQL. So insert into, then value. This value will now be like value one will be the name, the first name of a student, which can be, let me say, okay, the value one will be Abayomi, then the value two will be Abiodun, then value three can be maybe the ID card, like the ID numbers. So if we follow the procedure of first name, last name and ID, or probably use age or use gender, so this will follow the same process. So if you are adding value for all the table, you do not need to specify the column name in the SQL query. So here you can also, this is just like you are inserting those particular value one after the other, but this second part is you inserting into the table at once. So here you can just go with value, then value one, value two, value three. You can keep on putting those value inside this bracket, but most of the time you may get confused. Me, I always prefer doing it one after the other. So I can just specify, okay, value one, value two, value three, then putting this, then also going to value two. So we will try them out using this particular syntax. So let me just copy this and go to our editor. So this is our editor, we already know. So I'm going to clear this here so that we can practice what is there. So this is just like insert into customers. We already know that customers is the name of our table, that is this particular table we've been working with. So insert into customers, then customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country. So these are just like the names of the features, like the way I said. We can have first name, last name, age, gender and the likes, just for like agent about data, like student about data. So we have customer ID, customer name. So these are just like the names of those particular features that we have here, and we are trying to insert all these particular value in those position. So if I run this now, we have made changes to row, to database. So you can see now from the result, we have made changes to the database. Row affected one. So now a row has been affected. So we've inserted a value, this particular value in that table. So I'm going to find out that table now by using this. So let me clear this and use select star from customer. So this is it, but I will now set select star where customer name, is equals to this. So we can see now that what we inserted into that particular table, I'm able to find it out by using this particular command. So our total number in our table before was 92, 91. Just because we've inserted another row, our numbers of rows here is now 92. Before it was 91, so now we have 92. Then I'm trying to look for the particular record that we inserted in that particular in that particular what can I say, in that particular table, which we have Kadia, we have Tom, Bin, Eric. These are just like the value we inserted, and I actually want to be sure to know that has this thing truly showed or added to my table. That's why I just use the customer name, because I know that this is the name, this is one of the unique name that is in my rows, that is the data I added to that particular table, and I'm able to fetch it out now by using this. So this command also works on MySQL or any kind of database that we are using. So we are just using this. Just the reason why I choose to use this is that not to go too fast or explaining something complex. So this, I think this give a sequential order. That's why I'm trying to work with this particular website to explain those concepts. So that's how to insert into a table. So this is just the same way too. Cardiac, so these are just, you just, instead of, once you know the position of those particular features, you just put a value that you need to be that is needed to be added to those particular place. And you can see here the result here is, it shows, just because we have how many features here, we have customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code and country. But here they only inserted for customer name, city and country. So here we can see missing value in other places, just because it has been specified to add a value to customer name, city, then country. So the other places were empty. That's why we can see null here. Null means missing value or empty. So SQL null, just like how what we saw initially now. So null is a missing value. A field with a null value is a field with no value. So basically we call it missing value or a field with no value. And at times it always good to drop missing value. That is, anywhere you see a missing value, especially when you are working with Python, for example. And also, before you drop it, you must take note if those particular data are evenly distributed, because it's very very important. Know the numbers of missing value in each particular features or column before you start dropping them. Now, how to test for none. So it is not possible to test for non-value with comparison operators such as equals to, less than, or. So if you want to check or test for non-value, that is to know where there is a missing value or if there is missing value or not. So it's not really good to use all this particular operator. We will have to use is null and is not null operator. So instead of using the normal operators, these are the basics and the real, like the real operators used to check for missing value or not missing value. So here the syntax is as simple as this. Select column name. We already know the names of the column. So anytime you are working on a project or you are practicing, the first thing is take note of the column name, select column name, then from the table indicate the tables you are selecting the column name from, then where the column name is null. So you can just try to select the names of the column, then from that table, because these are, even I would love, like I would advise us to keep writing things like this down, maybe in a note that or a jotter that we may always get, or like that is always closer to us anytime we want to work on a project, so that you can check and recheck anytime you forgot something, because all of them they are not meant to, you don't need to memorize them because they are a lot. So you can just pick the one you use often, know them, then the one you don't use often you can write them down. And if you want to, anytime you want to work on a project that requires them, you can easily open your jotter to check how it's been done. So this kind of syntax you can write it down, select column name, you are going to figure that out in the table, checking the names of the column name, then from the table name. So what is the table names that you are working with? So the names of the table, then where column name is null. So when that particular column name, so this is just like syntax, then is not null syntax. Select column name from table name where column name is not null. So this is null means where there is a missing value. Why is null missing that where there is no missing value. So you can check where there is missing value with is null, then you can check where there is no missing value with is null. So that's just how it works, and this is just like one of the examples. So I can easily copy this and try it out on our query. So I'm going to clean this. So we can see select customer name, contact name, address, then from customer where address is null. So what we want to do here is that we are selecting the customer name, we are already familiar with them. Okay, let me try to select star, and don't forget that star means we are checking all the data in the table, that is select all, we are selecting all. So select star from customer. So customer is the name of the table that we are working with. So and you can see here that it display all the data here. So we have customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code and country. So we can easily select customer name, that is the names of those column, contact name, address. From customer, we know that customer is the names of our table, then where address is null, that is anywhere that is missing in address we want to see. So if we run it now, I can run it now, then you will see that it tell us that there is no result, that is in address there is no missing value. So I can set is not null. So if I use is not null, that is not null means where there is no missing value. These are just like basic commands to analyze your data, because SQL is basically for analyzing data. We don't do visualization in SQL. So you just interact with your data, analyze it, know what is going on, so that you can better you can export it to Excel after you've checked through, and you can turn it to visualization using Power BI or Excel. You can use Python, you can connect your Python to your database, you can connect your Excel to your database. By It's much easier when you work on your database and you export it to Excel file. So it will be much easier, and you can also import raw SQL data to Python. So it's either of your choice. So here now using is null shows that all this record, because we have 92 record, means that all of them there is no missing value. And based on the column we selected, which is customer name, contact name and address, so in this three column there is no missing value, because when we use is null, we did not see any results. So that's how that works. So just like the same, I've tried to show us how the two work. So now I'll be talking about update statements. And let me take a time to pause here to ask, based on what I've explained, is there any difficulties? So is there any difficulties based on the one I've explained? Are we getting it?
I have a question, sir.
Okay.
Please, just the way you explained, if, for example, you want to change a value from one particular row in a column, let's say, for example, customer name, let's say for number 60, for example, you just want to change a particular value in one of those columns. How do you go about that? I don't know if you understand my question.
Okay, by changing we will still get to that, so that I will
Okay,
not just, we will still get to how to change. So now we are still talking
okay,
about
okay,
checking the order by, checking on how you can check the missing value. So
okay,
we
okay,
check that in Python too, so we are just taking it gradually. We still get there.
okay, 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 all right.
Yeah. So any more question based on what I've explained? Okay, let me just continue then. So just give me a minute. I quickly want to. Okay. Sorry for taking your time. So, let me check where we are now. So we've done how to. I've explained how to check for none is null, that is missing value and non missing value. So let's just check on. So another thing is update statement. What update statement means to us? So the SQL update statement, the update statement is used to modify the existing record. I think that's what you are trying to ask as a question. So what is the functions of update statement? So update statement is used to modify the existing record. So we've checked the non-value, we've ordered by, we've done some basic functions on our SQL data, but now we want to update our record. We already have 92 rows, which is like 92 record in our table, in our database, and we need to update them. So update table name, you use update. Update is a keyword to use to update anything in your record. And set, you must, like, we know that the table we are working with here is the uh customer. That's the name they name the table. You can name your own table anything. So set column one, we already know the names of column one, just like column one is customer name, contact name is column two. So column one equals to the value that you want to, this is the first column. The value that, like, the value here is Alfred Takis. So the the column 1 equals to value 1, column 2 equals to value 2. So where the condition, so you put the condition after where, and this is just like the basic syntax for doing that, but we are going to demonstrate it by showing what it does. So note, be careful when updating record in a table. Notice where clause in the update statement. So you must note where the where clause, that is where exactly you want to update. So you must be very sure of that. So you must be very sure, like very sure and very careful about that. So where clause is in the update statement. The where clause specify which record that should be updated. So now this is just like a demo of the example, and we are going to try our hands on it. So now let me copy this and show us something. So here we can see that, okay, this is just like what we did, we did with null and is null. So now update customer. We already know that the names of the table we are working with is customers. So note that update customer, set contact name equals to Alfred. So let me, before I do this, let me try to read it so that we can take note of what is going on. So select star from customers. Select start from customers. That's the name of the table, so that we can run it and see. So we can see our record here by using this particular command, statement, select star from customer. So once I run it, I can see my 92 record here. So now, just seeing that, I want to update my first. You know that the first name is Alfred, and this just the name. We can take note of this first. Let's take note of this first row. So we want to update this first row now, and this just like the command that we are going to use for that. So let me just paste it. So update customer, which is the names of our table, set contact name equals to Alfred. You know this is Alfred footer kist, abi, that's just like the names here, but now we want to change it to something else, or let me even change it to my name.
So why don't you use the only?
What say?
There's the
So
first thing. So why don't you use the only?
I did not get what you said, or can you type
I
it?
said, why can't you use your own name? You are using.
That's what I want to say. I want to use my name now. I just want to use my, like, what we are trying to do is I want to change this name. Like, we want to, just like you are working on SQL database, and a particular record you are not okay with it, or probably there's a mistake, and we are trying to just make a correction. So how can you make a correction with that? So now we want to correct this name. Probably the names of this first row is my name, and the person made a mistake by imputing this particular name. So we want to try to change that particular name back to my name, and we want to change the city. Here I want to change the city also to like Lagos. Let me change it to Lagos. So I want to change this to Lagos. So city equals to Lagos, then where the ID is 1. We are using ID is 1 just because we want to work with the first one. If we are not working with the first one, we can actually change it to another thing. So if I run it now, so it's telling me that you have made a change to the database, to the to the database, then row 1 affected. So now I can quickly, I will use city. So I'm going to use select uh, star from the table name is customers, where city equals to Lagos. So you can see now that I don't want to show everything, so that's why I just want to look for that particular thing that I've done, so that I can easily see it. So now we can see now that here I change the contact name, which is Abayomi Abiodun, then I change the city also to Lagos. So here I'm just demonstrating how you can probably work with your data. Probably you want to update it, you want to change something. If you are not okay with something, maybe there's a mistake in the record and you want to fix it by changing it. So I can change the address, I can change the postal code, I can change the country name, which is from Germany, I can change it to Nigeria. I can also change this customer name also. I believe you understand what I did now, especially someone that asks the question. So do you understand it now, please? Okay, you can speak.
Yes, yes, I can understand.
Okay, all right. So that's just how to update the record. Then we can move to how to delete a record on our from our database. How we can delete. So now how to delete, or the SQL delete statement. Basically we like from the word delete, we all know that delete means to just remove something. So here, and this particular delete, just like I think there's one time I was learning backend, then our instructor just told us that I think he was working with one company. So he said they employ a guy, then just like maybe entry role person, and as a backend person you need to know how to work with SQL too. So SQL is very very important in backend, because they are the basic people that design the schema, the primary key, like how the table is going to look like. They are the one that will write the code, like developing their APIs and the like, so that when people come to a website or an app, when they sign in, their details go to the database, where a data analyst can query out and analyze, or based on some particular things that take place in that database. So he now said the person that they employed mistakenly deleted some things in their database. So and once they delete it, it may be hard to get those record back. So just because it's a new, I think it's entry role, they just employ the person. He has not really know how to work with their particular database, then he used delete command and they lost some they lost a lot of data. So delete is very powerful and is very dangerous. So anytime you want to delete anything, you must be very very sure and use your where clause very very well. Just like now we can see delete from table name, the names of the table we are deleting from, then where, that is that particular row or particular column that you want to delete. Because if you use delete on all, it's going to delete almost everything. So we must be very very careful, and at times some database may have a backup while some may not. So once you delete it, you delete it. So there's no way they are going to get it back. So let's just look at the example. So here we can use delete from customer where customer name is equals to this. So we can use that particular name on our data set. So here we already have this particular contact name. So we can delete from customer where customer name equals to. So here customer name is this, and I can also use contact name equals to this, and I can use address equals to this, then I can use city. Let me even use city where city equals to. So you just need to make use of one particular thing that says something about that row. So you can use the city, you can use the postal code, just because once the postal code is unique you can use it. But if the postal code is not unique, if other tables has that particular if other rows have that particular postal code, it's going to delete everything anywhere is able to find that particular postal code. So if I use country, so anywhere is able to find Germany, it's going to delete every Germany. So if I use, so that's why it's just good to use customer name or contact name, because contact name or customer name can be unique. So it's always good to use contact name or customer name, because once they are unique, it's not going to affect other rows. So it's just going to delete that particular rows. But if they are not unique, if they are in repeated form, just like country, we have US repeated, we have Germany repeated. So once you use that particular country, it's going to delete everywhere it's able to find that particular name. So now I want to use Lagos, and I'm so sure Lagos is just one, because I was the one that update that particular column, that particular row. So now Lagos, I will just run this now. So once I run it, you have made changes to database, and so let me just try to look for this particular item. And SQL is not case sensitive. You can write it in small letter and you can write it in capital letter. So select star from customer where city equals to Lagos. So if I run this now, you see now that it's telling me that no record, just because I've deleted this Lagos. I've deleted the row called, the row where Lagos is being anywhere there is Lagos, I've deleted it. So me using Lagos to fetch out a row now is telling me that no results found. So if I try to just, okay, let me just use select star from customer. So now you see that we have 92 record before, now it has reduced to 91. And you see here that customer ID start with 2, not 1 anymore. 1 is gone, so we only have 2, and then 2, 3, 4. So that's just the functions of delete. So we are able to delete a row now, and keep don't forget that anytime you want to delete anything, any particular row, always use a unique ID. So because if you don't use a unique ID, it's going to delete everywhere it's able to find that name that you use. So it's either city, any particular item or name you use, it's going to delete everything everywhere it's able to find it. So let's always take note by using the unique ID. So that's all about delete. Let me use, okay.
Telling me that the unique ID is very essential mainly because of the select value.
Hello.
You know, I can hear you. I said simply means that the unique ID is very essential mainly because of the selector.
Yes, yes, it's very very important, especially delete, using delete statement, because if you don put a unique ID, it's going to delete everywhere it's able to find that particular name. So if I use Germany now, if I use Germany in that delete statement, it's going to delete everywhere it's able to find Germany. So if, and if your target row that you want to delete is just one, so it's always advisable to use a unique ID in that row that is not the same like others, that is not correlated to others. So using that is not going to affect other row. So it's just going to delete that only.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My own question is that this my experience. Sincerely, I know most of this what I say. But my only issue here is that to make use of it, maybe because of my analysis, that is the only way I'm finding it complicated. So I didn't know how I'm going to do it. Maybe I'm going to be selecting it, or maybe I'm going to do data fixing or validation. So I didn't know how I'm going to go about it to tell it with with this type of FPS stuff. But to make use of it as a database, so I can use that one.
Okay, okay. Basically what is very essential here is knowing how to, like, knowing what, okay, now if you are working on a data and you probably want to delete a row, you knowing how to go about it, I think that's one of the first important. The interface of, and even me, like, I introduce us to MySQL. The company that you may be working with may not care about MySQL, maybe something else they are using, which is database. What is just important, the most important thing is knowing how to write query. So because that query will be the one to pick, like, what you know about query or SQL, that's what you will now work with regardless of the interface. The interface may give you an issue for a day or 2 day, especially if it's an interface you've not worked with before. So I'm so sure that it can give you an issue for like a day or 2 days, just for you, or probably a week sef, for you to be really familiar with the interface, how it look like. But what is the most important is knowing what to do. Okay, now you want to make an amendment to a table. How can you update it? How can you delete a row if probably there's a non value? How can you check a missing value if there's a need to drop them or there's a need to delete them? How can you update by inserting a value if probably there is the database does not have some kind data that you need to add to your data? How can you update it? So that's like, me, to me, that's what I feel is much important. So when you really know how to work with them, you can carry that knowledge to any database you want to work with. And you practicing, what you need is by importing those particular data sets to that um database you are working with. But when you are working, the data is already in the database. What they will do is by giving you an access to the database, so you can write query immediately and see it happening. So you don't need to work with you uploading the data set anymore, because the data set is already in the database if you are working with a company. But if you want to practice, especially in the times of building your portfolio, you may need to import data, download data, import it, so that you can practice what you've learned and see how it's being done. And you using a database, as I said, is not limited to one. You can use BigQuery, you can use MySQL, you can use Postgres, you can use MariaDB, you can use Microsoft SQL Server, I think Microsoft SQL Server or something. So there are a lot of database that, but what I just feel that is the most important is knowing how to write query and know what to do when you are to do something. So I think that's the most important things.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now we have the the select top. So this select top, we can, it is just like giving a limit while you are fetching out your data. That is limit of maybe 10, limit of 20, limit of. So instead of you writing a query that will display everything, that is, the data we are working with is like 92. So you can see a data of 1 million rows, you can see a data of 500,000 rows, you can see a data of even more than that. So you selecting a limit, like putting a limit, that is, when we are working with Python, we work with we just checking the head. Using the head, we'll be able to see the first five, then using the tail, we'll be able to see the last five. Or putting the number in front of that head, so maybe something dot head, then put it inside the bracket, maybe 20, 30, and it's going to. So that's just how this work to, like, putting a limit to the numbers of data that you are expecting, or the numbers of data that you want your database to show. So now this is how it works. The select top clause is used to specify the numbers of record to return. Then the select top clause is useful on large table with thousands of records, returning a large numbers of on the impact performance. So here you can easily put, okay, note all database support select top clause. MySQL, MySQL support the limit. So now limit is the one that works in MySQL. I think if you watch that video, I think I used limit when I was writing some query then. So clauses to select a limited numbers of record. Why Oracle use, we can see now that this limit work with MySQL, that is limiting the numbers of rows that you want to see. But in another thing, they use select top. Then when it comes to Oracle is also a database. They use fetch first, end rows only, and row number. You can see now that, imagine I explain limit for you, and you end up working with a company that use Oracle. So instead of using limit, this is what you are going to do. But what I will still keep saying it, the basic, like the most important thing is knowing what to do. So now if you know that limit, this is what it does, and you want to use it on Oracle, you can easily put it on Google that, okay, how to use limit on working with Oracle, my Oracle database, and Google is going to give you how, like, the the syntax for Oracle. So they are still the same concept, but at times it may be different, but the most important thing is knowing what to do at a particular time. Once you know what to do, the problem is solved. You can navigate your way online to see the way, like to see possible answer or possible solution to what you want to do. So now SQL server or MySQL access syntax. So this how to work with it. I will not be I will not be practicing this because we have different interface. So and there are some that will work and there are some that will not work. So for SQL server or MS access syntax, if that's the option you later use, this is how you are going to select it. Select top number, then this percent column. Column name, we already know the column name. Then from the names of the table, where the condition, so you put the condition that you are working with. Then here also select for MySQL syntax. This is the syntax for MySQL. Select column name, then from table name. So what is the names of your table name? Then where condition and the limit number. So you can select the column name, put the column name here, then from the names of the table, then where condition, that is where maybe city equals to Lagos, where contact name is equals to Abayomi, where total sold product is greater than 20,000 or greater than $20,000. So it depends on your condition. Then limit numbers of 100 or limit numbers of 10 or limit numbers of 50. So you put it there and the limit number will be the highest number. That is, if you put it the limit of 20, it's going to display 20 record for you. And Oracle, this is the syntax for Oracle. Then select column name from table name, order by column name, then fetch first number row only. So this is the syntax for Oracle 12. Then we have odd Oracle. This is also the syntax for that. And we have order Oracle syntax with order by. So these are just like basic syntax for all those database. And this is not all database, because you have BigQuery, you have MariaDB, you have Postgres, you have AWS. So this is just like the little they can list out. But I'm so sure if you want to work with any of them, you can put those names on the Google and try to check the possible solution to what you are looking for. So now I'll be explaining mean and maximum. So I'm waiting for that to display. So now we are focusing on mean, SQL mean and max function. So we have SQL mean and max function. The mean function return the smallest values. So just like the word mean and the word maximum. So we use the word mean to check the minimum number in a particular row, in a particular not row, column. So in a features, we may want to check the, like maybe if you are working with a database that has a revenue, total cost, price per unit, something like that, especially in sales data set. So you may want to check the minimum sales, you may want to check the maximum total sales, minimum total sales, and the maximum total sales. So you can use this particular syntax for that. So you can use select mean, then bracket column underscore name, then from table name. what is the names of your table. You can easily put the names of your table here. Then where condition, so what is the condition that you want to, so putting select mean, then column name. And note that this mean and max most often work with numbers. So if you are working with text, I think I'm not sure, maybe it works with text also, but mean and maximum always, like, what I really know that they work with their numbers. So you may want to check the minimum numbers or the maximum numbers. So this is just the syntax for maximum also. So select max columns from the table name, then where condition. So you can see here that the table they use here is product id, product name, then supply id, category id, unit, then price. So we can see here that number one has, this is the names of the product, the number two, the number three, the number four. So then supply id, one 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 two three two. So category id, these are them, then unit, these are them, then price. So we can easily check the minimum price and you can check the maximum price. So here you see, this is just like the example. Mean name select mean price as. So this as means, it's just like when we run the code, instead of displaying the answer alone without any reasonable head, that's why they use as. Maybe smallest price, then from product. This tables is a tables from product, not from customer this time around. So that's why, so I can click on this to show, this will show another um so this is another table. The table we are working with before is customer table, but customer table does not ask what we are looking for, because customer table just have basic text which are customer name, contact name. This majority of these are text, and it will not really be reasonable to be checking for maximum and minimum here. So that's why we need to work with a table that has a number. And you can see here we have product name. You can see product name, you cannot check the maximum and minimum here. You can only check maximum and minimum in supplier id, category id, unit, then we have price. So here, and we are seeing uh so we can see here that select minimum price. So price as smallest price. Then from product, so product is the names of the table. So we are selecting the minimum price here. The minimum price as the smallest price. So if I run this, you can see now that the minimum price, the reason why we use as smallest price is because of this, so that your record will not just show without any heading. That's the basic reason why they use as smallest price. If you don't put this as smallest price, it's not going to come with any headers. Nothing will comes as the names of the head of this. So I can easily change this to max minimum also to test out what will happen. So now we can see the, okay, let me just change this to max, large, abi smallest or biggest price, abi let me just use maximum price. So now we can see now that the maximum price is 263. So we have we have count, average, we have like, we have with card, we have SQL in, we have SQL in between. So I think what I will do is I will stop this teaching by 8:30. So we use the remaining 30 minutes to just probably talks on the area that we don't really understand from the beginning of the class, so that I can use next week to dwell more on that. So I'm going to stop at mean and max. And another thing that I'm going to do now is that I'm going to give this to us as assignment. So we just go on this web, it's not something difficult. We just go on this website, you just go and practice you will just go and practice SQL for count, like count average, just like this, count average sum, like, with card, in, between, alias, join, inner join, left join, right join, where can we stop. I think this is much, but it's just like just to practice it actually. So, and another thing is, this is how I'm going to, let me just use it this way, and I can just use this assignment to be like maybe 20% of everything when I made the collation of everything. So I can just make it, I think it's more straightforward and it will not really stress us. This is what I'm going to do with this particular assignment. I stopped at min and max now. So what I will just give us as assignment is, we'll go on this website, do like, you click on count, average and sum, like, with card, till like till dis SQL operators. And what you are going to do is, you will just open a PowerPoint presentation. So you will put maybe like the topics. Okay, let me do it, let me stop my